an enormous fan of the Planet of the Apes movies. I've especially loved the modern trilogy that Matt Reeves was overseeing. I thought those movies were incredible, so I was very excited to see what Wes Ball was up to with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which I just saw, and I'll tell you about it right after this word from our sponsor.
A soldier's greatest wish is not to be working after all. If it helps, theirs was a noble sacrifice for the betterment of humankind.
Laying down arms and surrendering is, well, it's not the worst of our available options.
We should just finish this!
All right, who's next? Keep them coming.
I also chose my path, and I will see it through to the end!
Thank you to 505 Games for sponsoring this video. Now, I was unbelievably entertained by this movie, and it's really a very cool take on the whole franchise, because what they've done is they've gone forward in time, and we see the apes are in a very different position than they were during the course of the Planet of the Apes trilogy that started with the James Franco movie and then went on. I know it gets confusing because the 60s and 70s Planet of the Apes movies were also a lot of fun, definitely worth watching, and people bring up that terrible Marky Mark movie, the Mark Wahlberg movie. That was an awful Planet of the Apes movie. Never see that one, but see the classic ones and then see the most recent trilogy. But I also think that this is one that should be on your radar as well. And the whole idea behind Planet of the Apes is that a virus kind of wipes out the intelligence that humanity has and gives intelligence to the apes, and the apes kind of assume control of the earth. And there's a beautiful arc and lots of really interesting details that happen in that most recent modern trilogy, specifically around an ape character named Caesar. And what this movie does is it kind of makes Caesar this icon, this historically significant leader figure, this almost Christ-like figure that is mentioned by the apes. The resonance of Caesar carries across generations and generations. But there's also a lot of confusion in these ape communities, and there's a lot of division and apes fighting against other apes, which is all against what Caesar stood for in that most recent trilogy. So it's really cool to kind of see time advance.
Are you familiar with the concept of evolution?
And so what we do with this movie is we catch up with this younger ape, Noah, and his friends, and they're on a mission to try to collect eagle eggs, because that's what this clan does, this tribe of apes. They each have an eagle as kind of their support bird that flies with them. And Noah's father is a very esteemed part of this clan and has an ability to work and commune with eagles. So it's definitely a kind of a classic trope of this ape community is bonded with nature and knows how to live in harmony with nature. And then, of course, all kinds of hell breaks loose. And in the midst of some major conflicts that happen between apes, we're introduced to this young woman played by Freya, Allan, who is brought on screen as a character defined as Nova, which is a great throwback to anybody that has watched the classic Apes movies. And she is fantastic in this film. She's really got to convey a lot of emotion, a lot of thoughtfulness, and she's not using her words. And she's got to kind of learn how to survive in this crazy adventure tale that happens with these apes and amongst these apes and running for her life from these apes. And I was completely transfixed by the way that this tale unfolded. Wes Ball did a great job of moving us from scene to scene, and I found myself, and I was conscious of this, I was actively looking at every corner of the screen, taking in all of the rich details, because you're looking at the ape creations, which are of course a fusion of the actors and their performances and their performance capture suits. And Kevin Durand plays a very menacing character named Proximus, terrific performance there. Owen Teague is awesome as the lead Noah. But you're looking at these creations which are a fusion of CG character and human emotion, and it's just so believable. You really are invested in these characters and what they're going through, but all the way around the image on screen, the way that everything is framed. There's big, wide exterior shots, and there's lots of little tiny details, and you're just looking at all of it. And I really was impressed by the production design and the sense of ruin. It reminded me a lot of the Horizon video game franchise. You'll see buildings toppled over and all kinds of overgrown forest. Nature is kind of taking back all of these artifacts of humanity, which are a massive mystery to these apes, of course. And there is a lot of confusion because that's what happens with history and historical recordings over time, is we just don't keep track of it all. And there's just a lot of projection on these totems and these artifacts and these these things that these apes are seeing and how they kind of interpret them and how it's different from clan to clan, from tribe to tribe. Some fascinating work in there, and I think the movie does a really terrific job of just managing the action and the adventure and giving us all kinds of breathless moments and real peril and urgency for these sequences that are put together. And it builds to a beautiful crescendo, but it also does leave the door open for more. So it's a little bit ambiguous where this movie is going, but I didn't mind that. And I feel like we are at the beginning stages of something new with some of these characters, and I'm in. Like, I really, really enjoy this. I don't know if I like this movie. I think I have to see it again or a couple more times. I don't know if I like this film as much as I've liked the most recent trilogy, because those movies are amazing. I loved War for the Planet of the Apes, and it's very hard to touch what Andy Serkis and his colleagues did as these ape creations in that most recent trilogy. But Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is still amazing. Some fantastic work here. I'm super stoked to see where Wes Ball goes as a filmmaker. He's attached currently to direct the Legend of Zelda film, which makes me very excited. He did a decent job with the Maze Runner movies as well. I saw a bunch of those. I think I saw all of them. Maybe against my will a little bit, but I review these things. But Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, a very, very fun experience. And if you have watched any of these films before, and I encourage you to see most of them, just avoid the Wahlberg one. But if you've seen any of them before, I think you're going to have a great time with this film. I certainly did. I'm going to give Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes a 9 out of 10.